What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It was a solid week 6, but unfortunately, Dak sold us, so that Lions at Cowboys game completely fell apart. The Lions held up their end of the bargain, but my goodness, Dallas looked like a shell of themselves. Looking forward to this week. There's no one game I really want to stack up the way I really liked that game last week. I could 100% see going back to Detroit, stacking up that Lions at Vikings game. I also really like the Texans at Packers game this weekend. That one comes with a lot of upside. The unfortunate part about that game in particular is that there's no real obvious way to stack it. I think we're going to see production on both sides, but there's nothing that stands out being like, oh, it's definitely going to be on the ground through the air, definitely with this receiver or this tight end. Like, nothing stands out there. Like, they could kind of win in any way on both sides. So you can definitely stack it up. I just don't have a very strong take as to which side. There is one game that we're going to get to a little bit later on in the video, that KC at San Fran game. That one I do think we could actually go to, but again, we'll talk about that one later on. Start with the big one, right? Every week we start off with a unlikely pick. You know, we're going for a 20x here, but one that I'm pretty excited about, and one that I think is being slept on a little bit this weekend, is this Dolphins at Colts game. Not going to seem like an amazing spot for us, just given that, you know, Tua's not back yet, right? And at times, both of these teams have looked pretty bad, let's be honest. But Mike McDaniel is a very creative head coach, and when you give him time to prepare, I do think he's going to have a really strong game plan this week. Does that mean they're definitely going to go out there and score 40? Absolutely not. Again, they're going to have a backup quarterback that is not going to be as good deep downfield. As we talked about in the rankings video the other day, it's not that the Colts' run defense or their pass defense is awful on like a per play basis. The problem, and I guess the benefit for you if you're going up against the Colts defense, is that they allow their opponents to run the second most plays per game, and only the Falcons apply less quarterback pressure. So we have on this Dolphins side, even with a backup quarterback, a very explosive offense with time to prepare, a great head coach and play caller, set up to run a ton of plays against a team that's not going to apply much pressure. Plus, we have all their projections lower, of course, because they have a backup quarterback, right? All their projections, Underdog, they're lower than they would be if Tua was a quarterback. So I really like Tyreek Hill higher than just 55.5 receiving yards. Normally that's up to 80, 85 in really good games, meaning usually if we want to bump that up to higher than 99.5, you're going to get like 1.15, 1.2x. It's not really going to do anything. He's going to have a monster game to really get a high benefit from bumping it up. But this week, if we adjust him up to higher than 99.5 receiving yards, that's already 3.16x right off the bat, not adding anything else on top of it. Now, for Hill to have a really good game, that sort of game where, because, I mean, he can't do that on one catch, right? So he's going to need probably a minimum of 3-4 receptions, and is going to obviously have to hit for a really long play on one of those. So if we think they keep going back to him deep downfield, it can happen in any game script, but we want a game script where the Colts side is able to score quickly. They're able to push the ball downfield. They're able to have a 2-play drive that instantly, you know, ends in a touchdown, gets Miami back onto the field, in a situation where Miami is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive than they would be if it was like constantly 3 and outs, right? Because technically, yes, if Miami, you know, or if the Colts go 3 and out like 5 straight times, right? Sure, Miami's going to run a lot of plays. But at this point, their plays are probably run plays, right? And that's not what we want for Tyreek Hill. So we want the Colts to be scoring quickly on the other side. They don't have to drop 30, 35 points, but we want them to have at least one, hopefully a couple quick scores. For that to happen, you're going to want Anthony Richardson. So this is probably one, actually it is one, I was going for a second, that you're going to have to wait on and see exactly who's playing in this game. But it's one where I want Richardson playing. I think that the Colts probably project for more points on offense if they have Joe Flacco. But in terms of quick scores, in terms of getting a lot of plays on the Miami side, I want Anthony Richardson as a quarterback on the other end because he's going to be more aggressive. They're going to be more explosive. And when they score, they're going to score quicker. And that's just going to get Miami back on to the field. So I want Richardson starting. If that happens, now we have to look to Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce was a DMP on Thursday with a shoulder injury. Check his status. He is the one that I would go with if he's fully healthy. If he's good to go in this game, he's the player that they would push the ball downfield to. He's the player that if someone's going to score a 50 or 60-yard touchdown, it is probably Alec Pierce. Downs can definitely get there, but it's going to take him a ton of receptions, and him hitting doesn't necessarily mean that they scored quickly and we got the ball back for Tyreek Colts to do his thing. Now, we're kind of flying blind here because the fact that he hasn't practiced means that Underdog is not going to release a projection. So I don't know what it's going to be. My projection for him is, I believe, like 45, 46 receiving yards. So I would imagine he's around the mid 30s. If he plays, he's good to go on Friday. They announce him active in the game. I would do, like I said, the Tyreek Hill higher than 99.5. And then I'll boost up Alec Pierce up to 59.5. I think that's a pretty good number. He's probably not going to have 100 yards, but 59.5, he hits on the big play. He's probably getting there. Now, if he is out this week, which honestly, for this pick would be my preference because I really want to play A.D. Mitchell. I know that the box score has been absolutely brutal for A.D. Mitchell, but he's got the 5th best separation score in the NFL. He leads all qualified players in targets per route run versus man coverage, which the Dolphins play at a league average rate. So he's going to see plenty of man coverage. He's just been significantly better than the stat lines are showing. And again, if Alec Pierce is going to miss this game, then A.D. Mitchell is going to jump from like a 25, 27% snap share to around 75%, which will definitely net him multiple deep targets in this game. He's probably going to be inefficient, but there's no way he's going to be as inefficient as he has been so far this season. That efficiency is going up, and when he hits on a few deep plays, people are going to start to realize, oh yeah, this kid was a really, really high-end prospect. He's someone that is probably going to have a decent career in the NFL, and he's not going to be as bad as he has been thus far. So honestly, that's the outcome I'm hoping for. I'm hoping you're able to boost him up to 59.5 receiving yards, which will probably net you more than the 20x we're looking for. And that's even before applying any sort of boost. We're in Boost-tober, so they're giving away a boost every single day. So you're going to have some level of boost. I don't know what exactly it's going to be for you on the day that you actually take this, but somewhere in like the 10% to 30% range is typically where those boosts have been. So you apply that, you're pushing this up to 25x here. Great odds for that. I think this probably hits around 7% of the time. And so as long as we can get it higher than 20x, we're good to go with this one. Also, this is going to be the one that I'm posting on my X account. Again, I can't take it until I know exactly who's playing and they post the projections for these players. But once that happens, I'll post it there. If you like and you retweet it, I'll send $250 to a random person if this hits. It's a great way to tail, even if you don't want to actually post anything on it. And if you do actually want to tail, I'd sign up for an Underdog account today. Again, it's Boost-tober. So they're giving away a boost every single day. And if you sign up with promo code FFA, you'll not only get that, but you'll get a free pick. And you're going to get access to my rankings, my projections, my position reports every week, and then also my Underdog picks before this video is posted so you can get them before the lines increase because they usually do every week. Again, you get that free rest of season. All right, that's the big one. So let's rapid fire some of my other favorite picks this week. First up, I really like Tony Pollard higher than 62.5 rushing yards. Pollard is at the Bills this weekend, and Spears is probably going to be out. He hasn't practiced through Thursday. They said he was week to week. If he does play, he'll be super limited, so I wouldn't worry about that, but I don't think he's going to play this weekend. Pollard has at least 82 rushing yards in 3 of 5 weeks, at least 62 in 4 of 5. This week, the Titans take on the Bills defense, and you're going to look at that and be like, oh, okay, so it's a bad matchup for Pollard. No, they are completely neutral versus the run, 0 EPA per play against the run. And in 5 weeks so far, the Titans have actually faced, because it's 5 weeks, not the 6 because of the bye they had, they have faced the number 13, 12, 11, 9, and 7 run defenses in the NFL. So even facing a league average run defense, this is actually the softest matchup that Pollard has had. The only thing that can really stop him here is this massive, I think it's at 9.5 point spread right now in favor of the Bills. Bills at home. This could easily be a spot where Will Levis falls apart, the Bills take advantage, they get up 24-0 by halftime, and you're like, oh no, Pollard was doing well, he was being efficient, but now they have to throw the ball every play. So that's one thing you're fading here. But the Titans also do have a very strong defense of their own. So unless Will Levis falls apart, unless the Bills kind of get lucky on some deep plays, I don't think Buffalo is going to get out to a massive 20-plus point lead early. I do think they're going to try and get Pollard around 15 carries in this game. And remember, they're not 4-1 this season. The Titans are 1-4, and Pollard still has at least 16 rush attempts in 4 of their 5 games. So we don't need this game to be close. We don't need this game to be a Titans win. As long as it is remotely close for a decent chunk of the game, then we should get a decent amount of rush attempts here. And again, the softest matchup Pollard has had so far. I also really like Xavier Worthy, higher than 34.5 receiving yards. We missed the Ladd McConkey higher by a few yards last week, but the usage was there. He commanded a season high 8 targets in a game that he did leave for a little bit, getting checked out for concussion. Targeting rookie wide receivers coming off of their bye is a winning strategy long term. And when they're also playing with Patrick Mahomes, their offense is also decimated by injuries, and they're a big play threat, it almost makes too much sense to take him. This is also one where I'd be more than willing to attack the other side. I kind of alluded to this before. We don't yet know the status of Jordan Mason. But to be honest, I don't know how much that matters. Of course, they're probably going to run the ball a little bit more often if they have Mason. But when you look at this matchup against Kansas City for San Fran, Derrick Henry is the only running back this season to run for more than 34 yards against Kansas City. That is the toughest matchup for running backs. And given how smart San Fran is, I expect them to realize this and lean pass heavy, especially if Mason is out and they're going with Isaac Guerendo as their top running back. Sure, he's explosive, but again, Kansas City has not faced scrubs. Basically every single week they face decent running backs, decent offenses, and no one has done anything against them besides Derrick Henry, who had 46 rushing yards and a touchdown, by far his worst game of the season. It's a brutal matchup on the ground against Kansas City, and San Fran will know this, especially if Mason's out. They're going to lean super pass heavy. We know Kansas City also second best matchup for tight end targets, third best matchup for tight end catch percentage. So if they're going to also air it out more, this is a great spot for George Kittle on the other side. So whether you want to boost it or not, that's completely up to you. You could go higher than, I don't know, do the 59.5 that we like to do for Xavier Worthy. Maybe bump Kittle up to 69.5, something like that. Completely up to you if you want to do that, or you want to just take it normal. 34.5 receiving yards for Worthy, 54.5 for Kittle. I think both of them are set up really nicely this weekend. And again, this is one where if Mason is out, I'm probably going to post a full 5-man on the site, because before, if you just straight up look at this matchup, maybe it is possible that Mason gets going. Maybe we don't know exactly, because there's so many playmakers on the San Fran side. Maybe we don't know exactly who's going to hit. But if we get Mason out and Guerendo's drawing the start, I just think it's so likely that Purdy has a decent game, that Kittle has a decent game. And so we're looking at that being like, okay, there's a lot of certainty there. Them throwing the ball more means that the clock is going to stop more, that they're going to score quicker when they do. And so we're going to get more plays on the Kansas City side. And so now Kansas City players become better. So we start to look at it and it's like, okay, if I want to stack up Purdy and Kittle, I want to have Worthy on the other side with maybe I don't know, maybe Juju and Kelsey you want to do. There's a lot of ways where this game can really get going. And so I'll post something on the site again. We want Mason to be able to do a full 5-man, but I like the 2-man regardless. I know the next one is going to be shocking, but I also really like A.J. Brown yet again this week. Every week that A.J. Brown is playing, and the sites are going to post him less than 70 receiving yards, I'm going to take higher on it every time. Underdog again this week, 66.5 receiving yards. We are smashing higher on that. We know that he's just a monster in general. Again, anytime that he is in the 60s for his projection, I would like the higher on that. But especially when he's in a good matchup. We saw last week he was playing a team that played the most man coverage in the NFL. Any team that plays a lot of man coverage against A.J. Brown is not going to be in a good situation. He's going to explode. This week, the Giants play it at around a league average rate, so nothing there. But unfortunately for them, they allow the most fantasy points per dropback against man coverage. All I can say to the Giants is good luck. Take higher than 66.5 receiving yards for A.J. Brown. After Brown, I also really like Jordan Addison this week. No wide receiver has a better separation score on the season, and even after Dallas fell apart last week, Detroit is still the number one matchup for wide receiver targets. I think he's going to see decent volume this week, and I am not expecting the Vikings to fall apart like Dallas did. They are a much better coach team, and the loss of Aiden Hutchinson is really going to impact Detroit. He is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and if you give the Vikings just a little bit more time, it's not like they're going to have an extra 5 seconds in the pocket, but every half second is extraordinarily valuable for quarterbacks, and if you just give Sam Darnold a little bit more time, this team has time to prepare. Again, they're well coached, great scheme, great players, great explosive players on offense. I just think that extra time in a matchup that really favors wide receivers. One of Jefferson and Addison is dropping a nuke this weekend, and while it's obviously more likely to be Jefferson, his projection is also much higher. So I really like the Underdog projection of just 50.5 receiving yards for Jordan Addison. I think it goes higher than that, well north of 50% of the time. So I've got roughly 15 more picks on my website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. And if you want to see those for free and you want to see them earlier than this video is posted, because again, these projections increase after the video is posted, you can do that by just signing up for your first Underdog account today using promo code FFA. Do that, make an entry of at least $5. You're going to get access to these picks earlier. You're going to get access to my weekly rankings, my detailed projections, my position reports, again, all free for the rest of the season. You will not find a better deal in the industry, so please take advantage. All right, that'll do it for this one. Good luck to everyone this weekend, whether it is Underdog or your regular fantasy leagues, but I'll catch you guys in the waiver wire video for week 8.